everybody, and welcome to another episode of KathyLanham.com, and I'm so glad you're here. It is the place to be if you want to be a more savvy side hustler, to develop your gifts and talents so that you can bring your unique voice to the world to bless only not your family, but the world. So, join us today as we talk about elevators and avatars. Okay, are you ready to get started? Today's lesson is on elevators and avatars, and what in the world does that even mean? Well, if you're new to network marketing or to this side hustle business that you're pursuing, your entrepreneurship, then the first thing that you're going to find is going to happen almost immediately is that those people that you thought that you knew would support you won't, and those that you had no idea had any interest in what you were doing do. So we're going to talk about your pipeline and how to fill a pipeline, what that is, and how to make the most of the introductions that you have with folks. Because there's only two kinds of people in the world, either those who will become your clients or those who could refer you to a client. So with that in mind, you never want to waste a second in who it is that you're meeting. So today we're going to talk about first, your 30-second commercial. Most instances, you only really have about 10 seconds. Now, what do I mean with your 30-second commercial? That is what you're going to use if you are presenting to a group, if you're shaking somebody's hand and you're meeting them, say, in an elevator, or if you're in a small group and then you're just mingling. So we call it an elevator pitch because think about if you get onto an elevator and you have just that distance between floors, that 10 seconds between the floor that you're on and the floor that you're going to before they get off, to clearly communicate who you are and what you do. Okay? Now, before we get into our elevator speech, our 10-second introductions, I want to back it up, and we're going to talk about another thing, and that's an avatar. Now, this can be called an avatar. It can be your ideal customer. It can be the person to whom you want to relate. Whatever imagery works for you. I know if you are younger and you're watching this and I say avatar, you're going to think about blue people flowing through the skies. And then if you're older, you may think of old robotic type creatures. Regardless, what that means is what's the person that you want to serve? Who do you help? I'm assuming, I usually try to assume a few things without making a ASS of myself or others, but I'm assuming that you got into this business either to help people or to make money or a little combination of both. So when we talk about your ideal customer, who it is that you want to serve, who it is that you want to help, I want to give you some examples that I've heard as I've been at networking groups. Oh, I help anybody with skin. I help everyone who wants a better life for themselves. I represent a company that brings great health and healing to anyone. So are you catching the phrases there? Anyone, everyone, and all. That's just way too broad. So if you say that, if your product helps everybody, then you're not going to help anybody. Because everybody is another group out there and people don't relate to that. When we hear that word, it's like, oh, well, it's not me, it's them. And that's not what we want. We want to make a connection with a person and let them see very quickly and very clearly what it is that we do and how it is that we do it. Now, that being said, you're going to mix this up. You are not going to have the same 10-second introduction every time. So depending on who you meet may depend on what you say. Now, I have written down some examples here. So let's say that you're a travel agent. I help anybody who wants to travel. Well, what if your real target market is those married empty nesters who for the first time have a little free income? Then that's not anybody that wants to travel, because I can go places that my daughter with 2 children can't because I have the available funds and the income. But now if I say that, that sounds like the travel agent has something to offer her as well, when actually the reality is, no, that price range is way too out of her budget. Same thing if you have oils. Anyone who wants a better life, who wants less inflammation. I have, from the beauty industry, we serve anyone with skin. Or how about from the health industry? I have a product that helps anybody who wants to lose weight. Really? What if I'm gluten intolerant? Does it do that? Photo storage. I help anyone who takes pictures. So you can see that those are phrases that are a little too broad. So what I want you to think about when you're crafting your 10-second commercial, and I don't care if you've been in business for one day or for 30 years, we still have to do this. We still have to reinvent ourselves. We still have to introduce ourselves, and we have to make our offering very clear. So I want you to think, what is the pain that you fix? What is the problem that you solve? How can you come alongside their story as a guide? To paraphrase Donald Miller in story branding, how can you be a mentor or a help or a guide, not their savior and answer? Because the language that you will use is going to be different if you're speaking to, say, a 65-year-old versus a 16-year-old. Then the third thing that we're going to do, so point 3, is use understandable language. Now that seems silly, but when we get into our businesses, we develop jargon and we develop ways of communicating with each other. It's perfectly clear to us, but other people have no idea what you're speaking about. For example, I represent a company that brings high-end, cutting-edge, state-of-the-art technology tools to help people fight the visible signs of aging and wrinkles. What the heck? Or let's see, what about, I had created some crazy ones. I represent a company that brings organically derived and locally sourced essential oil elements of healing that can be ingested, inhaled, and infused. Now, wouldn't it be much easier to say I represent an essential oils company, or to say, have you heard of essential oils? If the answer is yes, then say, oh, cool. Well, I represent a company that provides top of the line oils for better health, because you've already got a line. If they say, oh, no, I've never heard of essential oils, like, oh, really? Well, it's a fascinating opportunity to look at better health using oils. So you want to give enough information that leads them to ask a question, but you don't want to give them enough information that it's a essential oils seminar, because you only have 10 seconds. Does that make sense? Now, what about the case of the anti-age tech tools? That's a real thing. It's a company that I actually do represent. So instead of going into the long definition of everything that we offer, then I can make that difference. Are you concerned at all? You can ask a question instead of telling what you do right out. So you leave a little room for them to ask questions. Are you concerned about any of the wrinkles, or are you seeing any effects of aging that kind of concern you? And they don't know what to do with that. Well, yeah, like the crow's feet, you mean? Or the lines around my face? Yeah. I sell tools that are guaranteed to get rid of those. Boof, end of conversation. I've left it short. I've done my little mic drop. So now they're free to ask me questions. I don't have to bore them. Or I can say, oh, you know what? I'd love to show this to you or tell you more. Can we meet for coffee? So the purpose of your 10-second introduction is to be very clear about what you do. If you confuse, you lose. Thank you, Marie Forleo. You want to be very clear about what you do. So a great format is that you are going to give your name, and then what it is that your company does, and then your information, your filler, and then you're going to close with your tagline, your name, and your company again. And we'll get more into that. Okay, so now another thing that goes right along with this is a business card. Kind of out of vogue these days, I know, because we're in this technology age. So you can do digital business cards where, and I'm seeing this more and more when I go to networking meetings, folks do not have business cards with them. So a cool way to do that is either on LinkedIn or through your text. You can say, oh, you want to put your number in my phone, and I'll just text you my information. So it's an exchange of information on LinkedIn. If you're both hooked into your Bluetooth, there's a place with the little people head, and you can find people nearby. And that's anybody in the room that's got their Bluetooth on that has LinkedIn, hopefully to the person that you're standing right there with. When you click that, their name pops up and you go, oh, here, that's us. And so then you make the connection. But it is of no avail. It is of no use, and it is no value if you're just collecting business cards and you do nothing with them. So the purpose of a business card, and a business card that has your picture on it is even better, because a picture's worth 1,000 words, and that facial recognition. Oh yeah, I met this girl when I was at da-da-da-da. So you have that, and ideally on the back, if you could leave it blank, then that makes a great place for you to say, oh, can we exchange information If they do not have a card, then you can exchange information by giving them one of your cards and saying, let me write yours. Here, I have a space. Let me write your information on the back of mine. So then you have a place there that you can keep that. Now, here's another little tip I'm going to throw in for free at no extra charge to you, the consumer. And that is when you meet somebody and you've hopefully had a conversation, you're not trying to sell, you're not trying to push off everything that you do, you're having a conversation and you're going to learn more about them. You're going to be interested rather than interesting. You're going to ask questions and you find out that, oh, she has a 5-year-old that's dealing with Asperger's, or maybe his son has attention deficit disorder, or my teenager has acne. However you're steering the conversation and you're learning things about them, when they leave or when you part, as soon as it's a convenient time to do so, you're going to take your information, your little pen, and you're going to jot down those little facts. Bullet point your notes that you just learned, and then when you look back at that the next day to do a follow-up the next week, ideally it's 24 hours, FYI. When you look at that information, you're going, oh yeah, this is the lady that had the son that needed some help with some photography tips. I need to touch base. And you can say, hi, Kathy, it's so good to meet you. Just wanted again to tell you that I'm offering my services for your son, Brian, if he needs any help with his photography. So that's quick and that's easy and that's that. The other thing is when you're exchanging information, then it is key that you follow up. 24 hours is ideal. And then you're going to follow up specifically. You're asking for a meeting. You want to see what they do. You want them to see what you do. And then at your close, let's say that you're at a networking meeting and you're there to network, not just to collect cards, but to meet people that could be good referrals or good clients for you. Then a great synopsis of your 30-second commercial is your company name or a tagline. So in the group that I go to, here's a couple that are just quite clever. One lady who is in the beauty industry says, how old you are is your business, how old you look is mine. There's another, her last name is Moore, and she is in a family business, and she says, why settle for less when you can have more? Just a clever way for people to remember her name, except it kind of boomerangs for her because I always think she's Rachel Moore rather than Rachel Kibler, which is truly her name. Another guy that's in insurance, maybe you'll recognize this one. He says, no lizards, no mayhem, no caveman. I'm just a good neighbor. And then he gives his name. Another one is photo insurance for all your memories. Like photo insurance for all your memories. And then the last sales works for Prove It. It's a direct sale company. And it's Pruvit, but she says keto conscious and I can prove it. So just some clever ways that they've played on either their own personal name or the name of the company or what they do to help folks to remember them. Because that's at the end of the day, you want to be memorable, whether it's your tagline, whether it's your photo on your business card or the name, so that or connection that you've made, so that when you make that follow-up contact, you have a good base to start with. And that is your 30-second commercial, your 10-second commercial. Now, what do I mean about your avatar? I told you I would get back to that. So the more specific you can be about the problem that you can solve or the person you can help, the better off you're going to be. Quit trying to sell what you have to everybody. And I know what you have. I'm sure it does. Save everybody, help everybody, fix everybody, everybody. Yeah. The smaller the niche you can make it, the better it is for you, the more profitable, because then you can speak to that person when you're writing an email, when you're sending a text. You're writing to your avatar, the person that you can actually visualize them in the, as if they were sitting across the table with a cup of coffee. Quick example of that, again, in the beauty industry. So if you have a product that takes care of wrinkles, but also takes care of acne, would I speak to that 50-year-old the same way about both topics? No, the 50-year-old is going to have two concerns. One is her own looking in the mirror and does not like what she's seeing, facing the fact that gravity and age are doing a number, tap dancing on her face. That's one concern. On the other hand, she may have at home an 18-year-old or a 14-year-old that she's drastically concerned about the self-confidence factor of that child's, male or female, that child's acne. Is my message the same? No. So what I can do when I have a product that meets a variety of needs is I can speak to the problem that I'm solving and address that to my avatar. I hope that makes sense. So I would say to the grandmother, for example, or if I'm in a networking meeting, today my ideal client would be someone who wants to give the gift of confidence. I have a great product here, and I would hold it up. I have a great product that's relatively inexpensive based on going to the doctor, and you do not have to go have your liver checked. But this is a proven, I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, proven that it will take care and help greatly your granddaughter or your daughter or your son's acne. Now, I may have 10, 12, 15 other products. That's not my intent for the day. That is specific. I'm looking for someone who wants to give the gift of confidence, and then hopefully within that room, that's going to resonate. So as you're going out, as you're meeting people, remember, people are either potential clients or they're folks who can potentially refer someone to you. And you want to make sure that they remember your name and what you do so that they can do that with clarity. All right? So your homework for today, I always like to give you a little application. So your homework for today is if you do not have a 10-second commercial, a 30-second commercial, start to write one. Figure out what problems you solve and then write your commercial. And if you're stuck with this, if you need a little help, then that's where your upline, your success line, VP of sales, your peers in the business, other people that do what you do, just ask them, hey, what do you use for your 30-second commercial? What do you use for your 30-second commercial? And you listen to them. And you're going to get a little bit from here and a little bit from there, a little verbiage that you can use. You compile it and make it your own. No problem, no harm, because most of the time you're not in the same circles and not selling to the same people anyway. So other thing that I want you to do is think about your avatar, because it really does help. The more clearer picture that you can have of the problems that you're solving and the people that you can help, the easier it makes for you to craft your commercials, and I did say plural commercials, to craft your commercials and to create your tagline. So that's it for today, elevators and avatars, and I hope both of them want to work to be a blessing in your life. And if you've learned something that's of value to you that you think might help a friend, please like our page or like our video and follow, subscribe to us, and then share it with a friend. Because as always, if you try to be a blessing to others, you know what? You can't help but be blessed in return. Have a great afternoon, day, and thanks for stopping by. Until next time, it's Kathy Lanham with KathyLanham.com.